Yes, good evening. My name is Wallace Gator Bradley, and I'm the host of the Bradley Report. I'm also the president of United in Peace, Inc., which is the organization that's presenting this show. I got a special guest here. And you know, we know about what happened with the president, and the court decision came down and said he has no immunity. But as you know, politics is local. The show is also produced by the chairman of United in Peace, Inc., and that's none other than my wife, Terry Marsh Bradley. So without further ado, let me introduce to you this young lady. As a matter of fact, going to introduce herself to you because I know her. Could you let my viewing audience know who you are?
Absolutely. Thanks for having me on the show, Gator.
No, thank you.
I appreciate the invitation. I'm Mariyana Spyropoulos, and it rhymes with metropolis, if you're wondering how to say it. So.
You know, with all this court thing that's happening nationally,
Yep.
everybody knows somebody got to come before a judge. But what a lot of people don't understand is the office that she's running for in Cook County is becoming the clerk to the courts of Cook County. What she's running for, she's going to explain to you. They take care of all the files and the records in the court, and they make sure you know your court date. They make sure they direct you in case you don't know what judge, what's the judge's name in what court. But there's a lot of things that was happening in that office that a lot of the residents weren't getting the information for. You and I talk about it because we see one another so much.
Absolutely.
So could you share, because I learned a lot from you just listening to you.
I'm glad.
And I didn't know.
Okay.
That's what made me invite you to my show, so that you can share why you run for that office and the things that you're going to do to bring forth a change that's going to better the people in the county of Cook.
Okay, well, thanks for that explanation. Is it okay if I introduce myself to your audience? A little bit about my background?
Everything, all
so
that.
They know where I'm coming from?
I just said that. I know who she is. I want her to introduce herself to you so you know, because you got to know, because the election is March 19th, 2024, and this is Black History Month, so you need to know, but she's going to give it to you better than I can. Go ahead.
Thanks, Gator. I'm Mariyana Spyropoulos, as I said. I'm currently a commissioner at the Metropolitan Water Reclamation District, which is a countywide agency that treats wastewater, manages stormwater. I've been there for 13 years. I've served as the president of the agency for 2 terms. I've been the chairman of finance. It's a $1 billion agency, like I said. And we've always got a balanced budget and a AAA bond rating, so we're in good financial shape, and I hope that I've contributed a little bit to that.
A lot.
And I've been on the pension board for over 10 years. So, you know, I believe in good government. I believe that government should serve the people, and I have a record at the Water Reclamation District doing that. Just a little bit about my background. I'm an attorney. I've been an attorney for 25 years. Got my law degree from UIC Law, which used to be the John Marshall Law School.
Right.
And I have an MBA from Loyola. And I've practiced as an attorney, both as a prosecutor and as a defense attorney. So I've seen both sides. And I can navigate myself through the courtroom. I understand how it's supposed to work. So I'm combining these 2 experiences. I've got the legal background, I've got the government background. I'm in a really unique position.
That's correct.
To be able to run for clerk of the circuit court of Cook County. And you said it really well, that the clerk's office is basically the record keeper for the court system. To put it in one sentence, it's the record keeper of the courtroom. You want to make sure that those files are in the right place at the right time, in the right courtroom, at the right day. Because if you don't have your file there and you have a default judgment against you, you could, there's evictions, there's child support, there's loss of livelihood, there's all kinds of impacts against people. People don't realize how important this office is. And currently, it's not being run well.
You're right
and I've
about
got
that.
some ideas on how I want to make that a better place to work for people. And, I've got a couple of stories, unfortunately, on how it's not being run properly.
We want to hear it, because
Okay.
I know it.
Okay. So, you've got a lot of different courthouses. You've got the Daly Center and the branch courts, let's say Markham, you've got Maywood, you've got Bridgeview, you've got Rolling Meadows and Skokie. So you've got a lot of different courthouses. And there's 1,400 employees at the clerk's office, and it has about a $130 million budget.
Wow.
So, you have a lot of people, and there's mismanagement going on right now. So if you read the Chicago Tribune in December, you would have seen a story that talked about how the current clerk is using her employees as her political staff.
Yes.
And basically what she's doing is she's giving people raises. They are then making contributions to her, but they're also forced to circulate her petitions to get signatures.
And that's unethical.
You should have a separation between government and political activity.
Right.
If some of it's not illegal, it's just the appearance that doesn't look good. And as elected officials, I think we should hold ourselves to a higher standard and hold our staff to a higher standard as well,
Right.
and answer to the people that put us in there. So that's, on the political side. So in terms of the office, let's look at child support payments.
Okay.
So child support payments go through the clerk's office in terms of them keeping an accounting. A judge will enter an order that says you must pay $100 a week. The order is then entered by the clerk's office, and then that amount can be garnished from people's wages, or sometimes the non-custodial parent that has to pay will submit checks, et cetera. There's different ways of doing that. But what we're hearing is that there are millions of dollars of child support payments that are not being processed because there's difficulty in terms of finding the code to process it.
Wow.
So that is a real problem in terms, especially if it's just a technical thing. They should sit down with their technical staff, find out what the problem is, and make sure that they can address it. And if you don't have the right people that can answer those questions, then find the experts in that area who can, because there are people who are relying on these payments.
That's right.
And there's kids relying on these payments, and some people, live paycheck to paycheck, and they're relying on that. And it's really unconscionable that the office is not processing that. I would say number two, let's look at their website. So a lot of times, if you don't have the luxury of having an attorney represent you,
Right.
which, hopefully you get a good attorney if you have to go to court, because the process can be really intimidating. Let's say you're going to court, usually not for a good thing. There's usually some kind of problem or issue. And if you don't know what a judge is going to do, you don't know what a jury is going to do, but you should be able to rely on the clerk's office to do their job. And if the website is down and you don't have an attorney, the only way that you can find out what's going on with your case is to go on the website.
Right.
And if it's crashed or if it's been hacked or something,
That's happened to me before.
then you're stuck.
Can't find nothing.
And we go back to the default judgments again. Let's say you had a case that was up, you weren't aware of it, the judge maybe enters a judgment against you, that can cause a real problem. Now you have to go back to court, try to bring the case up, and for many people, they don't know how to do that. And understandably so. It's, people go to school for a long time to try to figure out the process. So that's really difficult. So a couple of years ago, the website was hacked. But the clerk's office didn't let people know it was hacked. What they said was that it was down for maintenance. And as you and I know, the clerk's office holds a lot of very sensitive information on cases. And that should have the utmost security to protect people's identities. Juveniles have
Correct.
cases too. That needs to be protected. So I would say that number one, the handling of that information to the public was not optimal. I would say that wasn't, that was dysfunctional. And number two, the website has been down numerous times. In May of last year, it was down for 2 weeks. People can't access their court case. It disrupts attorneys' work as well, and the judges get frustrated.
Right.
So you got a court system that's really reliant on this agency, and if they're not doing their job, it has a real impact on people.
You know, I got one question for you.
Sure.
I made mention to you when I saw you last week. A lot of the courtrooms, they have court reporters in them. But there's a couple of courtrooms, like in the Daily Center, they don't have court reporters in there. Is that the clerk's responsibility to make sure that there's court reporters?
Well,
in those rooms in
the
order for
judge can ask for a court reporter, and oftentimes attorneys can ask for that as well. But what I would like to see is for there to be an electronic courtroom, in the sense that why don't we have the record digitally? Why don't we have it electronically so people can access it and we don't have to search for a piece of paper somewhere in a file in a warehouse, that could be disappearing. You might have a piece of paper that, in emergency situations, maybe you're going to have a glitch, you want to write something down, but generally speaking, there should be a backup, which is a digitized and electronic version for easy access, for historical reference. Another thing I would say that sort of is connected to what we're talking about is felonies in Cook County, unfortunately, have the longest continuance in the United States. And that's, I think,
45 days, sometimes
that's
2 months.
That's a real problem. And this is particularly before a person is dealing with trial. Sometimes people can be, held in jail for a long time. Now, if the clerk's office can do an analysis of why continuances are taking place, looking at the whole court system, you got all these different courthouses, and each clerk is set up some way to collect that data and say, after 6 months or a year, we sit down and we say, okay, we're noticing in the Bridgeview Courthouse, this is happening, this many times. We're noticing in the Daily Center, this is happening this many times. We can try to address that problem and maybe reduce the length of time. Maybe it's a matter of this judge needs a little more assistance or more resources, or maybe needs some more help with more staff, whatever the reason is. You don't know how to address those problems unless you're looking at the information and you've gathered that data. The clerk's office can play a role in that.
And that's the reason that a lot of people convinced you to run for this office. Real talk. Okay? Because the woman that's there now, I'm not going to name her because
you can
for
say
transparency,
my opponent.
I'm with you.
How
Okay,
about
your
that?
opponent. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you. Your opponent. She came in, said that she was going to do all these things, and she didn't. What she did, she found a way to get rid of individuals who have been in the clerk's office a long time that knew what to do. And so therefore she ended up creating a mess for herself. What I mean by that, if I knew that file D definitely do not belong in C, B, and A, that's why people find it out it's in file F.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Okay.
So with the digital thing that you're talking about is right on time because of technology coming into play, and that office needs it.
Right.
So could you let my viewing audience know not only why it's important that you vote her in office, but let them know that you're going to need their support when you get in office in order to let the county board commissioners and the county board president know why you need certain money to be put into the budget. We got to let y'all know too, voters. It's very important that you put her in, since we're talking about the clerk's office, that you put her in the office because she got ideas and she's seeing it from a lawyer's point of view too. She let you know that how long she's been an attorney. So she know, just like I know, I'm not an attorney, but I do know how to go to the clerk's office and tell them, hey, that's in file A and not in file D.
Right.
Because we know this.
Right.
But for the average person that's going there, they don't know and feel like the clerk's office is supposed to do it.
Right.
She can't put those things in play until she let y'all know what she needs so that y'all can call y'all commissioners and say, please help, because I'm putting it out there in the air. The next clerk get what she needs to do what has to be done. So, you know, that's my little half commercial for you. But
Thank you.
wanted to
I
tell them,
appreciate
right.
that. You know, there's a lot of other challenges that are going on that maybe you know, some people might find interesting. And you can check it out in the media as well. So I mentioned the Tribune article from December. In May of last year, 2023, WBEZ did a story about individuals that are going through the restorative justice program.
Right.
So if you have a low-level felony on your record, something like maybe driving without insurance or something like that, and if you go through the restorative justice program, and you satisfy the requirements, you're promised that the felony will be removed from your record.
Right.
So that's the agreement,
Correct.
right? You do these things and then you'll have it removed. Well, the clerk's office under the current administration was not removing the felonies from the record.
Right.
So, that's unfair, number one. But when the public defender was pointing out to the clerk, hey, our clients have these felonies on their record, they're supposed to be removed, the clerk pointed the finger at the chief judge, Tim Evans' office,
Right.
and said
I
it's
remember
their
the story.
responsibility.
Right.
Which is not true.
You're right.
It's the clerk's office that's supposed to do it. So, if there was one or two and maybe it was a mistake, okay. But there were many more cases that were affected. And number two, when a problem is pointed out, again, if you're going to run for a leadership position and there's a problem, you sit down with the stakeholders and you say, okay, how do we fix this? What's going on in our process that we're not doing that we should be doing, and correct it. So I find that to be, unconscionable, especially when it affected so many people and when the problem was pointed out. In addition, there were 50 people in the office who were fired because of PPP loan fraud. And that's, defrauding the federal government. And the clerk's office wasn't going to get rid of the people until it was about to go on the news. And then finally those people were let go. But, maybe you're going to have a couple of people on your staff, maybe. But 50 people, I think is a problem. Maybe you need to give your people more ethics training.
Right.
Mandatory ethics training every year. And have expectations that this is the kind of behavior we expect of our people, to be professional, and to set the standard for the environment that they're working in.
I know from where you are now, you notice, and none of my viewing audience has noticed, you never hear unethical situations at the water reclamation because y'all have all that in place. Y'all trade. Am I right or wrong? Y'all let them know that, hey, vinegar and water don't mix. You know what I mean?
Well, we have good staff. I'm not going to say that there aren't problems here and there, because with 2,000 employees, you're inevitably going to have something that's going to happen. But I would say that there is mandatory training for ethics that people have to do every year. In addition to the fact, I introduced the policy for the Inspector General at the Water Reclamation District.
That's what I'm
So not that I wasn't implying there was anything wrong, but it's good to have another set of eyes on the agency to make sure that we're doing what we should be doing, and to look at efficiencies. Like maybe we've been doing something the same way, but we could do it better.
Right.
So there's nothing wrong with that. So currently we have the county government oversees us in terms of the Inspector General. And if there's anonymous, you can submit your complaints anonymously to the Inspector General without any threat of repercussion, and they'll do an analysis and investigation. Currently, at the clerk's office, There is not an independent inspector general.
That's why I know why you so important to be in that office. We got a minute, but I'm not going to waste it. Let my viewing audience know how they can join your campaign. Give them your phone number, your email address.
Okay. I'm Mariyana Spyropoulos. I'm running for clerk of the Circuit Court of Cook County. My punch number is 92. And if you'd like to get involved in the campaign, please check us out at citizensformariyana.com. We have a website. We have an ability to sign up as a volunteer there, or check us out on all social media, Facebook, Twitter, or now X, and LinkedIn and Instagram. And we'd love to have you on board to help us win on March 19th.
And something else, pay attention, because they're sending out the ballots this afternoon, right?
Vote by mail
Right.
is beginning. You can still order a ballot that way. Early voting, there will be the super site downtown, and then early voting in the wards and the townships is, I believe, March 4th.
March 4th.
Starts, that early voting, and then of course there's election day. So lots of opportunities for you to vote, to express your voice. It's really important. People fought very hard to
Yes.
get the right to vote. So it would be a shame to not take advantage of that and express your opinion. I hope that includes me,
Yes.
Mariyana Spyropoulos, for clerk of the Circuit
And
Court.
your number again?
Punch number is 92. You know what to do. Punch 92.
And hey, like I always say, vote, don't choke. Make sure your votes count. Put this woman in as the clerk of the Circuit Court. And without further ado, to God be the glory. And that's our story. Vote.
Thank you.